We've got to answer the question on everyone's mind, why should I be thinking about New York? If you are interviewing with any New York firm or you're putting your cover letter together, you must emphasize that you are aware of the following. New York is home to global law firms that deal with international clients with complex transactions in the highest volume of any city in the entire planet. Your exposure to a rich variety of cases, deals, and also just being able to interact with other smart, motivated people at your level and above your level is part of what makes you a good lawyer. So by virtue of just simply being around smart, educated, passionate professionals in a larger volume means that you will have the ability to solidify and supplement your knowledge base quicker than if you were in a smaller environment. You also work with international clients on, I kid you not, front page headline deals. One of the orientation games or activities I had when I was at Sullivan and Cromwell was going through the archives of the Wall Street Journal and picking out headlines. And we had to guess, was that our firm or was it someone else? And most of the time, Sullivan and Cromwell had, within a week, at least 2 or 3 deals that ended up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. It's staggering the kind of exposure you get and just the level of high profile exposure to some of the most complex transactions in the world that you would get even as a first year. Another big benefit is that there's no articling requirement. So you write the New York bar and you go and you are immediately considered a law clerk until you are effectively called to the bar. But the nature of the work you do is the same as a fully fledged associate. If you are already hired by a firm in, say, the 2L recruit for New York, which is currently underway, the firm will pay for your bar exam. And they will also pay for the bar prep class. So that's another benefit. It doesn't cost you to write this if you're already employed by a firm. The biggest reasons people want to go to New York is the salary difference. We know that articling students on Bay Street, for example, in Toronto, make about $110,000 toward the upper end, and first-year associates make about $150,000 on the upper end. By contrast, a first-year associate in New York makes $350,000, and there is no articling year. So it's a 110 to 350 comparison. So that's clearly about triple, if not more. You should also be aware that for those who are joint program students, like in the JD MBA program, those students are considered second-year associates at some firms, like Paul Weiss, so the pay goes up even further. Clerkships, regardless of whether they are provincial or federal, also count toward associate years. So if you clerk at the Ontario Court of Appeal, for example, and then move on to the Supreme Court, that's 2 years of work experience. You would enter New York as a third-year associate. Even if you article in Canada, it does not count as a year of work experience in New York. You are still considered a first year, even if you article. So the fourth reason to apply is living in New York City. I think anyone who's been there knows you have access when you're there to some of the best arts and culture scenes in the world. This includes galleries and concerts, restaurants, musicals, sports games. It's a very diverse and cosmopolitan city. It boasts home to so many different cultures. Everybody feels at home there. In whatever community you belong to, you will find a diaspora that you can fit in with. The exit opportunities are the other thing if you're thinking long term. So some people think of New York as just, I'll only be there for 2 or 3 years, pick up the paycheck, and then move on. Where you move on to also matters.